Hello, lads, ladies, gents, ladettes, whoever, whatever. Welcome back to another interview. Today we have someone a little bit different. We have Kiki, who is a VTuber. Now, usually I have a stupid elaborate intro, but I actually cannot think of anything considering how unique it is for me to get to interact. But Kiki, how are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you, friend?
I'm alive, so we'll take that.
You
Small
know what?
wins.
It's the little things like
It's the
getting
little
up in the
things.
morning.
Yeah, and having my boss call me like 6 times. Hey, can you come in to do this shift? Actually, no, we need you to do this shift. I'm
No,
like,
no, I can't.
mm,
I died. I'm sorry.
no. Oh, well, the good thing is, right, I broke my phone just as a little tangent before we get into everything. And I've got to take it in to get repaired. So I've got this backup phone that I bought for $100, right? And the do not disturb mode is the most ridiculous do not disturb mode I've ever had on a phone. It literally stops every single notification ever coming through. Like, nothing comes through. And I'm like, sweet. I just told the boss, oh, sorry, I had do not disturb mode on.
Is it an iPhone? Because iPhone kind of does that.
No, it's just like this crappy like Android thing that I picked up
That's
from
hilarious.
a supermarket because I'm like, my mate's got like a spare Nokia, like the cheap $30 ones you can get. I'm like,
The
oh
ones
yeah, I
that you
can
can
do
like
that.
throw and they don't break. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I can use that. And then I'm like, I kind of want to be able to watch YouTube and shit. So I was like, oh, I'll spend the $100 and just get this back up. And it's got me out of having to work a lot so far. So I'm like, do
That's
I want to go
hilarious.
back to the better phone or do I want to stick with this thing? To be honest, I haven't decided yet.
Just block the numbers on the other phone.
Yeah, my boss is gonna be like, oh, "You're meant to be working." It's like, dude, nah,
I'm
I'm
working
good.
on myself. That would be
Have you
what I would
seen
say.
this body? It is perfection. It's only 50 kilos overweight. Shut up.
I'd just be like, I'm working on my inner self. I can't come in right now.
Yeah, inner self by filling it up with too many cheeseburgers.
Hey,
It's worth it.
I stand a cheeseburger king, okay?
It's where it's at. So now that we've gone through absolutely nothing, let's actually start, shall we? So, who are
Okay.
you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
Well, I'm Kiki. I currently just rebranded to Kawaii Evil VT. Right now, I'm kind of a time traveling half succubus kind of thing going on, but I will be rebranding to a more villain esque type of lore. Basically, I'm gonna keep the time traveling bit done. If you can't tell, there's like a little.
Mm,
I'm trying to get my hand to show, but like which that hand. Okay, there's like a little pink TARDIS behind me because I'm like
yeah,
super into Doctor Who and Phasmophobia also on the screen because I'm
yeah.
like really into horror, which also ties into the whole villain thing because I'm
Mm,
kind of going for like spooky space vibes.
mm,
But my lore is kind of gonna be revolving around destroying timelines and worlds, and
nice.
I'm really excited for it. I'm gonna have a lot of like space themed upgrades and changes to my avatar completely. She's gonna look totally different. So um I'm excited about that. My content as far as streaming goes is I usually play chill games or horror games.
Mm,
I'm trying to get more into some of the horror aspect of games. I'm not usually good at like the story-based games. I'm trying to branch out more.
mm,
I just usually play what's easy to pay attention to chat to
yeah.
because I'm really bad at multitasking.
And look, we all have those moments.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the basic gist. I love survival games. I love horror. If you give me a survival horror, I'm the happiest kid. Like I'm kid in
Mm.
a candy store. Like, if you hand me a Doctor Who game, I'll probably marry you, even though I'm already like married. It's crazy. Like I've got obsessions. I love to listen to like horror podcasts and things like that. I'm just big spooky waifu. That's that's probably the best way to to put it.
Well, it's like your Twitch about me section. Doctor Who obsessed goth waifu.
I'm pretty sure that's what it said for the longest time. I don't know if it
Yeah,
still says that,
it
but
still
yeah.
does because
That's
I've got it up. It says rebranding
that's
progress.
basically my that's how I like identify myself as hello, I like Doctor Who and I am goth. Thank you. That is all.
That is my entire personality. There's the door. Please leave.
Yes. Uh I am an anxious being, but if you put Doctor Who in front of me, everything is fine.
It'll be okay. So when it came to, especially for VTubing, right? What
Mhm.
kind of inspired you to get into that? Because as I mentioned before we started, I've messed around with it for like 20 minutes. I was like, this is too complicated. I give up. Or I do like stupid like cheeseburger avatar things, you know, just as a joke for myself. But like, what kind of got you into the whole VTuber side of things?
So, I used to be an IRL streamer. I'd
Mm,
either have a camera on or not, and I was never really okay with it.
mm,
It probably went along with a lot of my, like, body dysphoria and issues like that. I just was never happy as an IRL streamer. I needed to find something that felt me,
mm,
and so I started, you know, watching new people that I had found. Actually, it was when Twitch Sings still existed.
mm,
I had met a lot of different people during Twitch Sings, and one of them was a VTuber who had started out, and I basically stuck around, just watching their community and like, learning about VTubing and meeting people through them. And then eventually I realized like, hey, this might be, what solves my issues as a streamer because I've never been able to be consistent because I can never find what fits me.
mm.
And so I started out with a PNG model, which is just, like a non-moving picture. And excuse me, my
Yeah,
nose is
right.
being silly. I went from there. Now I obviously have like three versions of this model. I have a
Mm,
Doctor Who version, I have a Loki version, and then this is the default base model.
mm,
But yeah, it just being virtual really changed my perspective and made me more comfortable in my own shoes. I've
mm,
actually learned a lot about myself
mm.
and like just being more of who I really am by being a character that's 90% based on actually who I am until we go villain. So
Yeah. So as you said, you know,
I
you and we like you explained this to me before we started, which was very, very insightful for me as someone who doesn't really understand. But you, as you mentioned to me, not too long ago, came out as non-binary and are a very vocal supporter of LGBT rights and things like that. Can you sort of talk about like how that affects obviously yourself and like how you feel it kind of helps your community that you've built?
um well, it's a hard topic because
Mm.
I've known that I was like, I guess I'm gonna use the term gay, but like
Why are
I've
you
known
gay?
that I was part of the gay crew since I was like 7 years old. I've always found other women to be very, very attractive, and it was difficult growing up because I'm from the South, the kind of,
Mm,
family and things where that's not exactly accepted, or
mm,
rather, like, especially back then. And it's something I didn't even come out about until I wanna say I was, like, 19, 20 years old.
mm.
28 now, by the way, so I've only been out for, like, less than a decade.
Yeah.
But, it did put strain on my family, but I always had acceptance among friends, but it was just something I never it's like I came out and then I didn't talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but when I moved away and started spending more time with, like, a lot of my online friends, people like you, people like Snow, Sayara, Francie, all those awesome homies that I spent a lot of time with, I realized that it's okay to be whatever version of me that is I consider to be the real me. I was tired of
Mm,
being a facade, and so, like, I'm in a what you call a hetero relationship. I'm married to a cis het man, and
mm.
I am, female, assigned female at birth. But that doesn't change the fact that my sexuality is not linear.
Yeah.
I like all the genders. I consider myself pansexual and demisexual, and it's been really great because he's extremely supportive of my sexuality. I mean, he knows he's my life partner and he's the person I choose, but he also respects that my pronouns change and my sexuality is all over the place, and he's
Mm.
he's okay with that. I mean, like, I made a joke the other day and I was like, I'm a boy now, and he's like, do you actually want me to call you he him, because I will. And I just looked at him like, I love you so much, but no, I'm still a they.
Imagine
I'm
being
still they.
married to Giga Chad, the human incarnation.
I've dated one before, no thanks. But it's been really cool the last few years, like, finding myself and being part of like that community, and building on that community has been great too, because I'm finding other people who have taught me understanding about all the different, gender types and sexualities, and it's actually helped me learn exactly what my sexuality is. And like, I just called myself pan for the longest time. I didn't realize that there was more to, my, I guess, issues and that, and it's just been really cool to
Mm,
like constantly learn, because it's always changing, and I just think it's such a broad spectrum, but it still can help you like find yourself.
mm. So you mentioned, obviously going through a lot of that and coming out and stuff, you felt like you were putting on a facade.
Hmm.
One question I've always wanted to ask someone who does VTubing, but I always felt like it's kind of rude to do it in the middle of a chat, is do you feel like when you go live, you have to put on a character more so than usual? Or do you feel like, because you have the avatar in between, that you don't really need to put up a facade because you can be a lot more relaxed?
Feel like I'm still me, like
Mm,
whether I'm on camera or off. I'm the kind of person who just tries to be nice. I think the only time I'm like not myself is when I'm stressed and I get quiet,
mm,
because that's just me trying to do the opposite of what I usually do, which is retreat.
yeah,
I just get quiet instead. And when I'm like, like mean to people in like quotation marks, that's kind of like a mix of me, but like pretend version,
mm,
because I don't think I could ever be mean to people, but it's a redeem on the channel because apparently people think it's funny when you're mean to
yeah.
them.
Well, it's the whole "step on me, mummy" meme,
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
saying.
yep, Sap on me, mommy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely think that when I go villain, I'm gonna have to build a little bit of a brand and a character, which is gonna be
yeah.
a little difficult for me. But as somebody who started role playing when they were 12 years old, I think I got it.
I think you'll be right. As long as, like,
I
if
think
you
it'll
lean
be
into
alright.
it, I think you will, for lack of a
I'll
better
just watch
term,
a
dominate
couple
the
of
scene.
Doctor Who episodes and just, take inspiration from Davros or something.
It'll solve the problem. Now, another thing I wanted to get into, because I kind of want to get a lot of the heavier topics out of the way early, so that way
That's
it's
fine.
a lot more relaxed towards the end.
One
Um,
moment. Tiny
right.
son, please. Okay, $600 computer chair, please go away. He
uh,
likes to use my chair as a scratching post, and it's a secret lab chair, very
yeah.
expensive.
See, my kitten, she uses my other computer chair. She doesn't like to rip up my good one, thankfully.
Um,
So she uses my one
well,
that's
like
kind of
he
broken.
doesn't rip up the cheap chair. He rips up my chair. It's gonna pink. He loves the color pink. Like no cap. Anything I own that's pink, this cat will steal it. He will take it
Love it.
downstairs and hide it from me.
Love it.
And
So
my whole office is pink, just so we know.
uh,
Just so we fucking know.
uh,
Stressed.
I love cats, man. Stupid little
Stressed.
bastards. Uh,
Oh my
um,
gosh, tiny. Go ahead.
but obviously being someone to the outside, as as you said, woman at birth, like assigned, and especially playing a female character, for your VTubing model. Do you
Mhm.
find that you get a lot of inappropriate comments towards you that aren't just like inside jokes between friends, or has it generally been pretty okay?
Um, I don't think it's been any more than when I was IRL streamer, but it
Mm,
still happens, and I feel like that I don't get as much of the sexual harassment. I mean,
mm,
you get the occasional comments, you tell them to stop, and I've had people actually, I'm sorry, stop, blah blah blah. What I've
mm,
dealt with more than anything is actually on the racial side.
mm,
Because I am a person of color.
mm,
I'm mixed. So I unfortunately get like people saying the N word to me,
mm,
or like trying to find ways around it.
mm.
Like somebody faked their pronouns at one time and told me that their pronouns were I don't want to say it because it sounds literally like a
Yeah,
bad word, but I will type it to you.
yeah.
Which
I
if I were to say that out loud, that would
yeah,
sound like the N word, right? Like
yeah. No, I've seen that one make the rounds a few times. Like,
yeah, I was just like, I was mad. I was like, why would you come in here and do that? Like, do
mm,
you want me to fight you?
yeah.
Oh. spam the
It's
letters. I mean,
don't stress. It's okay. um, but yeah, like it's I like from my situation, right, as just a white dude, right? Like I've had to deal with, don't get me wrong, one or two individuals who would come into my stream to say things like that just deliberately to try and cause trouble. But how do you feel Twitch has been going about dealing with it? Do you think they're doing a better job than what they were, or is it still just a shit show altogether? The eyebrows say it all. No, bitch.
I mean, considering like just what last year we had all those hate raids and all those issues, like there's a lot Twitch could be doing. And the fact that certain words aren't just straight up banned from the platform is insane to me. People shouldn't even be able to type the N-word in a chat.
Yeah, the
It should
strange
just
thing
be
is,
something
it
that's
used to be
globally
banned.
banned.
It used to be. I don't know why
See,
they
that's
got rid of it.
ridiculous.
Because, like, to go back for me a few years, I've got a friend from Sweden, and they use the N-word for the color black, or chocolate or something. Like, it had a very specific meaning in their language. And he was describing a food that he had, and he was doing it to be edgy, to be fair. So he typed it out, and it literally just starred out the word. It wasn't auto mod. I think it was before they brought auto mod in, and it just was automatically
It was
banned.
probably like a profanity filter.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what else they got banned. So we went through, and we just I stopped streaming, and we just went through and typed everything we could think of that's awful, and like a whole chunk of them were banned. And then as soon as auto mod came out from memory, all of them were usable again, and we're like, what was the point?
Yeah, it's so stupid. And I don't know if you remember this, but when like Automod first rolled around, words like hope, where wouldn't go through, woman wouldn't go through without like some places they were just completely banned or they had to be accepted by a moderator. And it's like, okay, Twitch, it's kind of weird that you're letting us say the N-word, but when it comes to topics about women, you're automatically like, no, that's not okay.
Damn you, Bezos.
I don't even know if I think this was pre-Bezos.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't even know anymore. It's just it's
been a long
weird
time
that Twitch has become a platform that like shits on women, but also has hot tub streams available so that they can, exploit women while also being like, you guys are terrible.
Yeah. It's like
It's big smelly.
Oh, who's that prick? I see him make the rounds. Usually people are clowning on him, that Andrew Tate guy who's like super over the top. I think he is playing a character to an extent, but he's like a former kickboxer and he's like hyper masculine, like deliberately. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm a millionaire, I got all this, and he basically runs a cam business. And the way he talks about women is the most disgusting thing you'll ever hear. Yet he's sitting there relying on them for his income, and everyone's like, the fuck, dude? But it's a big problem that Twitch has. And like, it's like, okay, what do you do? It's like, do we allow, in honesty, like as much as I hate the hot tub streams as a thing, you should just allow it. Like, just let, the streamers be creative, do what they want to do, as long as they're not breaking actual terms of service,
Right.
Because, like, let's be real.
Like, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. It's just the fact that one day Twitch is, like, anti-women, and the next they're like, yeah, get in that hot tub, girl, and it's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Like, it should be just let women, or anyone who identifies as female, like, however you might be, just do your thing. Like, it shouldn't really be like, oh, we're not going to let you, like, we're not going to acknowledge your existence, but now we're going to exploit you. Because, as you said, it's bullshit. Like, it's just totally not fair. And, I'm not someone who is, like, full on into, understanding all of that stuff. I try to understand it, but there's, a lot, as I've said to you, that's going on that as a white man who, barely leaves his room. Like, I don't fucking know. Like, dude, I don't know. Like, I don't go through those problems. So,
it's a wild world out there. And now that people are just staying home more and, like, a lot of people are stuck at home now and learning more about themselves because they're stuck at home. And I just think it's changing the world in a lot of better ways than
Mm,
negative.
Well, it's like I think it was France I was talking to in his interview. How we talked
Fancy.
about, yeah, best boy. Um, he's
Oh,
such a
five.
he's such a sweetheart. Um, but like we were
Yeah,
talking
he's
about,
Ho five. I
yeah,
don't know if you know what that means.
no,
France. I tried to call Francie hot one time, and I typoed, and I said Ho five, and so now every time we talk about Francie, we're all like Ho five.
he's a hoe.
There's literally no Ho five.
Just
It's
high five.
literally an emote because of Francie.
Oh
It's a thing
yeah,
now.
love it. But yeah,
Oh
like we were
god.
talking about, how as an Asian American, you get obviously the stereotypes thrown at him, and like how far we've come in a relatively short time. Like the last 20 years alone, there's been astronomical amounts of progress. Do you feel for someone in your situation that the progress has been good considering, like obviously it could always be better, but do you feel like things are coming along at a relatively decent rate, or do you think, the world is kind of lagging behind where it should be?
I definitely think we're behind. I mean, you have to think like examples would be slavery and the Holocaust
Mm,
were just, so many years ago. Like
mm,
there are still a handful, a very small handful, I believe, of Holocaust survivors
mm.
still alive.
Yeah,
I mean, when was slavery abolished?
like
Probably like what a
18,
was it,
oh, it was like
I don't was it that
1868, I forget. Like I don't
like
remember not Australia, American history that well. I barely
like
remember Australian history. I'm not remembering American.
1865. So
Yeah,
like
I was off by 3 years. I'm close enough.
it's yeah, but it's literally like that's not that long ago in
Yeah.
terms of like a country and like the world.
Mm.
And it's crazy to me that like despite all of, literal wars happening over this shit and presidents, stepping in, it's like the fact that I could go work at a grocery store and still get called the N-word
Mm.
in this day and age, I feel like we haven't made it very far.
Mm.
Like, yes, it's great that you can't hold us as your slaves anymore. Like, I don't, by you, I don't mean you. I'm saying you in a
Nah,
general
nah, like,
sense.
come on now. Back to work. That's too far.
Damn it. But like, like we can't really, legally, I believe you can't. I hope God, I hope it's legal to not have slaves.
I'm
But
pretty
like,
sure it is,
that
but then you got the American prison system, which is a whole other kettle
I
of
was going to
fish.
say, yeah, but then you come to America and everything's really confusing. But like, it's still there in other
Mm.
ways. Like, I may not have to go and fucking pick in a field or clean your house with no payment, but I'm still looked down upon and I make less money because I'm a woman and because I'm African American and like
Mm.
things like that. Like it's just the fact that we have to have a history month rather than being celebrated all year long is
Yeah,
stupid to me.
that's one thing
Things
that
like that.
blows my mind. It's like,
Like
although,
I love Pride Month. I love
mm,
Black History Month because, those are very important parts of who I am.
mm,
But the fact that we have to dedicate a month to be respectful to people of color rather than just
yeah.
fucking respecting us all the time is so stupid.
Mm. And like
It's my personal
I
opinion.
don't want to give Australia a pass on this, because for those who don't know, which I don't think a lot of people do, so Aboriginals Australians were classified, and this is how much I hate our federal government historically. They classified the Aboriginal people, the native people of this country that have been here for 50,000 fucking years, as fauna until like the 1970s. Like not even 50 years ago, they weren't even classified as human by our
That's so
government.
stupid.
And our government tried at one point, and this is a long time ago, and granted, everyone I know, and even people I know who are a little, little fucked in the head to say the least, everyone disagrees with it, but our government at one point tried to have what they call white Australia policy. Like they tried to go like full white nationalist, and it was the most disgusting thing. Thankfully, that government did not last very long. They got kicked out pretty fucking quick, because the rest of the country's like, no, like that's not
Yeah,
who we are.
that's pretty gross.
Yeah, so I don't want to just say, oh, let's just dunk on America. I want to give my country some shit too. But I
Yeah,
want to.
there's a lot of countries that are so behind.
But shout out to the new Australian government because they're not shit and they're like, hey, we're going to actually get representation for Aboriginal Australians in federal parliament because, probably should fucking do that. And we're like, yes. And all the conservatives are like, but why would you do that? It's like, because, they deserve to have a voice.
We were here.
The fuck are you
were
on
here
about?
first. Like what?
It's so stupid.
Yeah, my like I believe my like great grandmother was like a mix of like African American or just basically I guess just African at that point because slaves wouldn't have been too far off.
Yeah.
But African and Native American. So I don't know what like tribe. I really want to do one of those like 23andMe to find out. But I'm also scared to find out.
Yeah. See, I'm the same because I've been told that I am part Aboriginal, but I have no freaking clue because I'm adopted. And my family, like, even though they're very transparent and, like, I know my birth father, I have a great relationship with him. I know my birth mother. I don't really like her that much. Like, I don't hate her as a person. I just don't get along with her. She's very dramatic. I'm like, I don't have time for this shit. I'm too much like my birth father. Yeah. Me and my birth father are the exact same. Like, same person, like the same music at the same time, and we don't see each other except for like once a year.
Me and my dad are pretty similar. I mean, me and my mom are definitely like better than we used to be, but like me and my dad are just like, I just want to ignore the world and play video games and listen to like rock music. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. But yeah, so my birth father told me, he's like, oh yeah, you're like my dad, so he's my grandfather. They're like, yeah, his mum was Aboriginal, like 100%. So I'd be like 1/16 or some shit. I forget what the exact breakdown would have been. And I'm like, okay, well, how can I find out? They're like, oh, you need to talk to him. I'm like, how can I talk to him? Because, I've never met the man. And then my birth father's like, well, here's his number. Don't expect him to answer the phone because he never fucking answers the phone for anybody. So I tried like 3 times, couldn't get a hold of him. I talked to my blood-related grandmother, and she's like, I'm pretty sure. Like everyone's pretty sure. So I'm like, well, realistically, it could be true, but until I see proof, I'm like,
Might as well do one of the tests. It might tell you more than you, more than you bargained for.
I spent way too much money on food. My understanding is I'd be like Scottish, possibly Norwegian, possibly just because I think our family name comes from there. English.
The word.
Thick bitch and Australia.
Damn.
Related.
I'm thick bitch too.
Oh, man.
That's great.
Crazy.
Maybe Actually, we very well could be. My grandmother's from Europe.
You're my sister from another mister. My brother from another mother. However you want to be. Yeah. So, to get kind of back on track, because even though it is fun to talk a bit of shit, we should probably try to stay a little focused.
That's fine.
To be fair, the one with me and Snap ended up being like nearly 3 hours of us just talking shit about Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Like, it just got way off track.
I fucking love that.
But what would you say your ultimate goal is when it comes to your content? Like, are you looking to eventually get to partner, or are you just kind of content, growing your channel and just kind of having fun with it?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings because for me, streaming is more of a hobby. I just like to interact with people and trying to think of how to word it. Like, I'm someone who really was into the customer service industry. I liked helping people and being there for people, and that's kind of what I want to do with my content. Like, even if I go supervillain route, I still want to be the supervillain you choose to watch and game with or laugh, with. And I want to be someone that people see as somebody that they can talk to anytime they need something, somebody that they can chill with. Like, I want people to be happy and comfortable and know that I'm not just a content creator, I'm also their friend. And so if I were to push for partner and things like that, it could change the dynamic a little bit because as a bigger streamer, you deal with bigger issues, bigger harassments, and there's just a lot that goes along with being somebody who's considered partnered or popular. Whereas I'd rather just be, I don't know, I'd just rather just be people's friend and someone that they could rely on.
So, like,
for me, it could go either way.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like as you were saying, you want to be there, be friends with everyone. Do you find that that has helped, grow a very cohesive community around your stream?
I don't know, because I don't really pay attention to the growth too much,
Hmm.
because I don't I don't really care. Like, most of the time I stream because I'm bored and I wanna talk to my friends, and
Fair enough.
sometimes it's the easiest way to get everybody in one place at one time.
Hmm.
Um, I do feel like I meet more people, and I'm excited by the fact that I'm meeting more people,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's based on what game I played that day and things like that, which I think is really cool because then there's, like, an eclectic group of people that I can get to know. Because at the end of the day, I just even though I'm completely introverted, I love meeting new people and,
Hmm.
you know, I could be the light in somebody's life or they could be mine, like, you never know what you need at a given time, and I think that's what's really cool about the community that I've built as far as, trying to be the kind of person that I'm trying to be every day.
Hmm. Now we spoke a little bit earlier how Twitch Sings kind of got you into the whole VTubing
Yeah.
side of things. Now, me and Snow talked about this in length about how sad she was at the death of Twitch Sings, and even though I do not sing under any circumstance for anybody, I will sing on my stream when I'm listening to music because I'm just vibing out. But there's
Mhm.
a reason why I play guitar because I sound like a drowning rat. But what like I know that you and Snow have been running Talent Tuesdays. Like, what's some of the obviously inspiration behind that, and like some of the challenges that's come with trying to do something, a little more proactive to bring back essentially the essence of what you love doing.
Well, Snow is my best friend.
Mm,
Like, ride or die, I would do anything for her, and she was so devastated when we lost Twitch Sings. A lot of our friend group was. But for her, singing is a really big part of who she is, and seeing that side of her just kind of trickle away, it really hurt me. And so we had tried to do karaoke things, and we did like it was like a Halloween karaoke thing. And around that time I was like, "Hey, what if we just did this all the time?"
mm,
I'm like we talk about it, but we've never actually just put effort into it. And so it was difficult because like I ended up having to go away
mm,
for like a family emergency, like right as we established that we were gonna make this a thing. But
mm,
we ended up, solidifying it, and I believe we've up until the last few months, we've done it like every Tuesday.
mm,
The hardest thing is getting sometimes enough people to warrant us actually hosting.
mm,
um, People's availability has been a little wonky because a lot of people have school right now or are starting summer jobs and things like that. So right now we're kind of in a position where we do it every other week or every 3 weeks, just
mm,
based on availability, especially with me being the only person who hosts it.
mm,
Because normally it would alternate between me and Snow. And if we had other co-hosts that were willing to do it, we would let them do it too. But right now I'm the only person able to host it. And so it's kind of difficult to do that every week.
mm,
But other than that, when we do get, a chance to do it, it's a really good time. I've met a lot of people from the Twitch Sings community that I hadn't met before, as well as just random people who tune in and have fallen in love with us and either just watch every Tuesday or they just come and sing a song, and
mm,
it's been a really cool experience. But
mm.
yeah, a lot of it just started out because I didn't like to see my best friend sad, and I was like, I can try and bring Twitch Sings back
Yeah.
in our own way. Got a logo made, got like custom stuff made, and our Tuesdays were born.
Mm. Now I've forgotten the question because my cat decided to jump up and claw my knee. So if anyone saw me wince just a little bit, I've got very used to it, but she does have little needles for claws.
Sharp, sharp baby.
Yeah, and I refuse to cut them because I don't believe in cutting their claws. I hate, I'm like just
Well,
let her
you
use
can
it.
safely cut them without declawing them.
Yeah, I am terrified of doing it because I am very uncoordinated. So I'm like, I'll just let her destroy my legs. My legs will heal. It's okay
Do you
as long
have
as
a
she's happy.
scratching post for her? A
Yeah.
scratching post will help dull her nails.
She's got like a whole bunch of them. She does use them. It's just
Okay.
she's growing a lot because she's kind of in that like growing phase at the moment.
Yeah.
Especially because I've been giving her like kitten milk, and she is obsessed with her kitten milk.
Be
Um,
careful.
I don't
I
give.
think after certain weeks they can't have milk.
Oh no, it's a formulated one.
Oh, okay. It's like made for that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Like it's
There's no
a
animal abuserino.
no,
I will
God
come
no.
beat you up.
I would, for as
I'd beat
awful a
me
thing
up.
to say, I would actually kill myself before I hurt this cat. I nearly drove up a tree because I nearly ran over a possum. Like, I refuse to ever hurt an animal. I will take a person out before I touch an
I
animal.
accidentally like hit my cat the other day, and I had a full-on like I had a panic attack, and I cried, and I was like, "I'm a terrible mom. I don't deserve you. I don't deserve to be here." And Avery's just like, "She's fine. You just spooked her." Like he went and put the cat in my lap, and he's like, "Everything's okay," and I'm just like ugly crying. Like it was so funny.
Anyone who has had a
how
pet,
upset
anyone who has had a pet, they know. You just know. If you've never had a
if
pet,
you've ever yeah,
just,
I'll cry if I hit a squirrel or something. Like I hate driving for that exact reason.
See,
I'll just ugly.
See, the only animal I have no hesitation if I take it out is a fucking kangaroo because they're cunts.
Kangaroos will box you to death.
Like, to put in perspective,
that's funny.
I'm 6'4". Those motherfuckers are bigger than me. Like, I'm taking that bitch out with a truck. I do not care. They're assholes.
Oh my god.
They can be the most.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about kangaroos.
When they're chill. They're chill. They're great. Like, you can just basically walk up to them and feed them on the spot. Like, they don't care. But every now and then you get one that's just
the one that'll drop kick you.
Yeah. That's why I love that video.
What I would do.
I don't know if you've. I'm pretty sure you would have seen it because it went so fucking viral. That guy who was walking his dog, the kangaroo had his dog in a chokehold, and he just walks up and just whacks it in the face, and the kangaroo just looks at him like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like the kangaroo had no clue, but the guy's like, "I need to save my dog. That's the only option I have." So, because it's like you can't really just push the kangaroo off because it's going to be stronger than him. So he just like walked up and whacked it in the face and then ran off. It is one of the funniest things as an Australian to see.
I wouldn't know what to do.
They are intimidating bastards. They are big. And that the one that the guy punched wasn't even that big.
Cat.
Hello, darling.
Cat. Hello,
Please.
kitty.
You can come in. Come on.
Cat's like, "Hello, I am the assistant for the interview. Hello."
Yes, I show up on just about every single one. I make a lot of noise and then knock everything over and show my butthole.
The prettiest coat.
Yes.
That's a sign of affection, okay?
Yeah.
But cat buttholes are a sign of love. If a cat presents its ass to you,
let's be real.
No, if a cat presents its ass to you, it loves you.
Does that work for intimate partners as well?
Yeah, actually, if a woman's like, "Hey, look at my fat ass," and you know she wants you to look at it and love her back. It's a mating thing, I think. I don't know.
Shout out to Francie with that dummy, thick, double-cheeked ho five.
Francie! Got the fat ass, because he ho five. He's gonna kill me.
Look, I gotta give him... He's the only guy I haven't given shit to recently on any of these podcasts. I give everyone else a little bit of a rib, but I was... We got
a dumpy, okay? We got a dumpy. Okay.
See, if I stand up, I'm pretty sure you'll just get ass cracked because my pants fall down constantly. Because my weight fluctuates so much from work. So half the time my pants fit, half the time they don't.
That's a mood.
Now, pardon me. You mentioned earlier, obviously, that you enjoy horror games. And like Phantasmophobia and survival horror in
Phantasmophobia.
I always call it that. That's the fucking old game. Because I'm like
Phasmophobia.
Yeah, look, Phantasmophobia is the better game, and I will fight anybody. Give me that shit.
Doubt. Press X to doubt.
Fucking fight me. But no, like for real, like when it comes to horror games, what are some of your favorites other than like Phasmophobia?
I've really gotten into another game that's a little bit similar to Phas. It's called. It used to be called Ghost Hunter Core. I believe it's called Ghost Exorcism Inc. now. We jokingly call it gay because GEI, kind of spells gay.
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
That guy's a fucking legend.
Or it's like, "Hey, you guys want to play gay?" Like, yeah, let's play gay. But it's a really fun one. It's similar to Phas in a way that it's still like a 4-person crew going after a ghost, but instead of like finding just like evidence, you're actually fully you're like you have to figure out what the ghost is, and then you have to exorcise the ghost. And so it's really cool. It's just a little broken. As far as like other horror type games, like the aesthetic of things like Don't Starve, the Left 4 Dead series, anything that's zombie horror is chef kiss, okay? Nah. Like things like that are my favorite. I can play Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead like 24/7 if given the chance.
That's how to know
Those are
you and
probably
Snow are
my
friends,
favorites.
because Snow brought those up.
Yeah, those are games that we played together when we are able to like jump together into something. Those are probably our favorites, especially Faz. She's the person who got me into Faz. I was so scared to play it. I refused the first 6 months, I think, and then one day I finally bought it. No, I think she might have bought it for me and forced me to play it. I was like so
It
scared, and now
sounds
I'm
like something she would do.
yeah, and now I'm like double her level. I was like, no, I'm a pussy. I can't do it. And now I'm over here like, I am mommy and I buy everything because I own the game. The game is my bitch. Fucking great game.
So I asked her this question, which is a very difficult question for horror lovers, I think, especially, you know, people of our age, and even maybe into like the kind of mid 40s, even early 50s kind of group that kind of grew up on Silent Hill, Resident Evil. If you have to pick one series to keep, one series to yeet, which one are you keeping and which one are you getting rid of?
Resident Evil. I'm keeping Resident Evil. I haven't actually played either series, but I've watched a lot of the content, and I want to say Resident Evil is probably my favorite.
Have you got a favorite that you like to watch?
Nothing to do with the Dummy Mommy.
Nothing to do with that at all.
Nothing to do with her. It's just pure coincidence.
What are the odds?
I actually just recently bought a few of them for PlayStation so I could finally go through them.
I've just
like when I was younger, the only horror game I'd ever played was Fear 2, I think. And I didn't even get to play through all of it.
Fear 2 was the first game I ever finished on stream. It was actually the first game I played that wasn't StarCraft on stream.
Young, I just played part of it, and then my dad was like, "Don't play that, you're gonna have nightmares." And I was like, "But what if that's what I want?" And he was like, "No."
As you get older, you get existential dread. That's even worse. You want the real horror? Like, welcome to Bills.
Right. Like, just let me have my spicy anxiety in a controlled environment, and that is me watching or playing something that probably will scare the fuck out of me. There are worse things in life. Literally on my other monitor, I have creepy stories like for what I'm doing for later to like listen to, because that's how
I love the contrast between you and Snow, right? Like, Snow is, you'd think the one that would get, like, super shit scared of everything and all that, and, like, whereas you would look like the one who's super confident and be like, yeah, nothing's gonna phase me, but you're both complete
it's pretty
opposite.
Funny, because I literally, like, me, like, in real life, I dress in, like, fucking all black. I have shirts that, like, say, like, dead inside, and I wear, like, fucking fishnets and combat boots, and I literally have a giant tarot card of skeletons, like the lovers above my bed, and like bats all over the wall. So you would think that I'd be like the spookiest person ever, be like, oh, I ain't scared of shit. No, I am a pussy. I will not bring in a Ouija board in my house because I am a pussy. I am convinced that we live on Navajo land and that there are skinwalkers in the fucking woods outside of my house. I'm scared of them and I will not go outside into the woods at night. Like, come on. I'm a pussy.
Well, speaking of...
Snow ain't afraid of shit.
Yeah. Speaking of horror games, recently The Quarry just dropped. Have you seen anything to do with that?
Barely anything. I'm trying really hard not to look at any of it because I really want to play it.
It's very interesting.
It gives me, like, the way, like, the story, you know, like, the way it seems gives me, like, Until Dawn vibes, and if it's anything like Until Dawn, I'm trying real hard not to get any spoilers.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's the exact same team or like people who were on the team of Until Dawn, but I think it's the guys who did like the Sea of Medan and all that.
Is it a Steam game?
Yeah, I think they're all on Steam. Because they've got...
I mean, I have Until Dawn on on PlayStation. Oh, it's still a $60 game. I'm gonna have to wait until payday, bro. But I'm gonna buy
Uh,
it.
Let me see if I can find it. The Dark Pictures Anthology is what it's called, which is by
Oh
Supermassive
yeah, I have
Games.
those on. I just bought those too.
Yeah, which I think is the same team that has done they're the same guys who did the Quarry, and
Yeah,
they
I've
did do
watched a
Until
bit of
Dawn, so it is
those.
the same team.
I bought I just bought like the games that I'm planning to play on stream during like October for because horror month.
Mm.
I bought The Last of Us Part 1 and 2, Until Dawn. I'm gonna grab the Quarry. I don't. I know I bought the anthologies, but I think I might have bought it for my dad and not for me, so I might have to buy it. But I just got an upgraded version of PlayStation Plus,
Mm.
which is included. So
Mm.
there's a lot of horror titles if you like have the upgraded PlayStation Plus subscription, and I was like, give me all the horror.
See, I don't own a PlayStation anymore. I had to sell mine to pay rent, which made me sad because I had 110 hours of grinding in Kingdom Hearts gone because I was leveling to 100 on the first island. So I've just recently started it again. So it's a lot of time wasted. I'm like, God. But my ex
I
fiance,
just
who I
dropped
sold it to, was very
$100.
happy. She was like, "Oh, sweet! Now I have a PlayStation." I'm like, "I know you're not using mine. It's
Oh.
now yours." But you do what you have to
I
do. But that's why I have a
I
seven
just
thousand
bought
dollar
all the
PC
Kingdom
setup.
Hearts games.
I just bought 3
I
again,
just I
and
just
I've been
bought I
playing.
bought the bundle that has like everything in it for like $100 for PlayStation. Like last month or so. So I've been
Mm,
occasionally playing through it because I haven't really fully played through Kingdom Hearts since I was a kid.
mm. I feel
Even
like a
though I
lot of
have
people
them.
haven't.
I have 1 and 2 on PlayStation 2, and I have a few of the DS games like in the house somewhere.
Mm.
But like it's just so crisp on the PS4.
Oh yeah, trust me. Like, if you try to go back, and even if you play the remasters on the PS3, the difference from the 3 to the 4 is astronomical. Going from 30 FPS to 60 is just god tier. The game's play so much
Yeah,
better.
it's amazing. Like I even prefer it better than playing on my PC,
Mm.
which that says a lot.
Yeah. See, I only play on PC, but that's just because I've got big fat hands, and I'm like using most controllers don't fit. That's why if the controllers that I like the N64 controller. Oddly enough, I'm one of the 5 people in the world that actually like that controller, and
I like the N64 controller too.
the Xbox Duke, like that big chunky boy. I miss that controller because my hands actually felt
Boy,
comfortable. That was a
that's
thick
funny.
bitch.
I mean, you can buy like custom thick controllers for relatively cheap too.
Yeah, I'm also a cheap
You just
ass.
gotta know where to find them.
Yeah, I don't like spending money. I spend all my money on my
That's
cat.
fair.
So it's like
As you should.
yeah, she's about the only thing I give a shit about in life.
Tiny baby.
Best baby. She's also I'm whoring her out to hopefully get to a point where I can make money off YouTube to basically just pay for her food. That's all I'm trying to do.
I love that. I love that for you.
She is bought in just over a month now, 32,000 views and nearly 100 subscribers.
I love that for her.
Yeah,
She's a superstar.
she is just like
I
have
haven't thought
spent.
about whoring my cats out.
Get on it, easy money,
3.
easy money.
I have 3 cats. And
uh,
Tiny Son is the most vocal. He'll just go stand in the bathroom and yell at his reflection.
I love
He'll
that.
just stand there and scream, and I'm like, "That's you." And then I'll show him like, "It's you. Look, it's me." And then he'll scream at my reflection like, "Why aren't you talking to me?" And I'm like, "I'm behind you, you fucking idiot." Like tuxedo cats are something else.
This special. That reminds me of
Dumb.
me and my ex when we were together because she had one cat who was a Bengal named Basil, and then we had
Aw.
one that we adopted together named Marley. And Marley was super chatty, right? Like, because my ex would have her PC set up down the other end. I used the spare bedroom as my setup because I would stream. She wasn't really into all that. So whenever I'd get up to go down to the kitchen or anything, Marley would like scream and start like sprinting towards me for a cuddle. And then as soon as I touch her for 1 second, she's like, "Okay, that's enough," and then run back to my ex. And she's like, "No, going back to mommy. I'm done." Whereas
Cats
Basil,
are wild.
Basil used to give us the post shit scream. and so he would yell at you until he would go take a shit. And then after his shit, he would yell at the top of his lungs and then run like a nutcase for like 45 minutes and then fall asleep every time. If I talk to her now and he just so happens to go to the bathroom, you hear him because he's just sitting there screaming, and we're like, Baz, just shut the fuck up, dude. We get it. like adorable as hell, but he's just used to drive you nuts, especially if he like had to go in the middle of the night. You're like, dude, come on, because he just didn't know how to be quiet. So obviously we talked a lot.
Cats are my favorite.
I love it when like Renoa, she doesn't meow a lot. She's taking it up. She's giving up. But when she does meow, she basically squeaks at me, which is very, very cute.
That for you.
So I just like I managed to get it on film once, which is I think like my most viewed YouTube short. I think it's either the number 1 or number 2. It had like 2,500 freaking views just because she just sat there squeaking while I was trying to give her treats. I'm like, will you just wait? And she's just keeps going. So to get back on the topic of games, because otherwise we're never going to shut up if we keep talking about cats.
True.
So when it comes to streaming, as you said, you also like to do chill games. Are there any specific chill games that are kind of your go-to, like even if it's like, hey, I know I've played this a million times on stream sort of game, or have you got like just a kind of genre that you might gravitate towards?
I mean, I usually like chill games are usually games that I consider to be super relaxing for like me, especially, which would be like Star Wars: The Old Republic, which I've just gotten back into on stream. It's a game that I could just zone out to and just enjoy the story. Stardew Valley is a really big one for me.
I lose a lot of time to Stardew.
Yeah, Stardew Valley is really great.
That shit's crack.
Golf with your friends is kind of a chill but also fun community one that I like a lot. Because we play a chaotic version, which makes it like 10 times better. A lot of my chill games though, I just play offline. Because if I get too chill on stream, I just want to take a nap. And that doesn't help anybody. Just be like, I chose this game because it's relaxing, but 45 minutes in and I'm ready for bed. Sorry guys, gotta go.
That's like me. Like I literally I drank energy drinks to stay up to do some of these interviews. And as soon as the interview was done, like I drank these before, like within 2 hours, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bed. I've had like 400 grams of caffeine. I like should be fucking dead or ready to fight God. I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna go take a nap. I'm good.
Ready to fight God.
So one question I do love to ask. Now we've mentioned some games we do very much enjoy, but do you have a top 5 games? And if you can't necessarily narrow it down to 5, and it doesn't have to be in order specifically, do you have some honorable mentions to go along with it? Because sometimes it's hard to give just 5.
Okay, like top 5 games, like overall, like my favorite games.
Yep.
Fuck. Okay. I got this. All right.
Yeah, asking questions about sexuality, politics, all that. Got answers. Top 5 games. Ooh, there's the spicy question.
Fuck. Phasmophobia, obviously. I'm way too obsessed with the Sims franchise, so I'm just gonna bundle those all into one answer.
Which is your favorite Sims and why is it Sims 2?
First of all, bitch, it's Sims 3. Because the way that the world is set up in Sims 3 and being able to navigate anywhere without a fucking loading screen is fantastic. I wish that we could take the customization and style of Sims 4, the story of Sims 2, and then the navigation of Sims 3 and make Sims 5, and that would be the best game ever.
EA, you've heard it here. Do your fucking job for once, please.
EA, listen to the people. The people like Sims 3. Thank you. I'm trying to think. Star Wars: The Old Republic is definitely one of my absolute all-time favorite games that I always come back to. Even if I could take a year off from it, but then I come back to it and I'm like the happiest person ever. So that's 3: Phas, Sims, Star Wars. I've been really enjoying the Spider-Man game that I've been playing as well. It's Marvel Spider-Man for PlayStation 4. It reminds me heavily of the Spider-Man 2 game that came out
Yeah.
for PlayStation 2 back in the day. It's played almost the exact same style, and that was my favorite game for PlayStation when I was a kid. So like it's brought back this like nostalgic side, and the fact that like one of the voice actors is a Naruto voice actor makes me so happy. It's Sasuke's voice, and I just get really excited every time he talks. Because I'm a simp.
All I can think of is Naruto screaming Sasuke's name out. Sasuke!
Sasuke!
Like that tiny bit of vocal fry on it. I'm like, it just makes me laugh every time I hear it.
Well, that's what I love. I love the voice actress that does Naruto's voice. She's fucking great. She's so great. I need one more. Fuck. I'm trying to look to see what games I played recently. Just because my brain is like, we've only been awake for a few hours, had a massage today, and now I don't know how to think.
See, that's why I love this question, because everyone's always got
Left 4 Dead 2.
Left 4 Dead 2? Everyone's always got like their top 3, but as soon as you get to 5, people are like, what? 2 whole extra?
I had to think. I'm like, wait. I'm like the literal games I play like 24/7. Why can't I think of them on the spot? Like,
see,
I'm either always playing them, or you know, the first excuse I get to play them, I'm like, yes, let's do it.
See, my top 5 has stayed very steady for a very long time. So, like, anyone asks me, I'm like, bam. I can change the order of 4 and 5, but the first 3 will never change. I don't think there's going to ever be a game that will top those. If something does, I'll be obviously very impressed, but it's just it hasn't happened yet. So I'm like, I've had it so ingrained in my head as to what my top 5 is. My top 10 can change, but my top 5 just won't. Now, speaking of favorite games, and you mentioned how you loved the Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation back in the day. The reason why I want to bring that up is because this is one of my other favorite questions to ask. If we're going to go back to a time when you were 16 and younger in terms of gaming, and you can pick any game from, you know, before the age of 16 or approximately, give or take. If you could reboot it or replay it or like experience it for the first time, and by reboot I mean
this is easy. This is fucking easy.
Be that game.
Every fucking Dance Dance Revolution game ever. I literally own most of them for PlayStation 2, but I no longer have the original licensed dance mats. Every fucking game, reboot them. Give me the dance mats. Give me cosplay of every fucking character ever. Dance Dance fucking Revolution, bro.
I tried DDR once and I ate shit. I'm like, I'm never playing this again.
Look, okay, I was doing one of the faster songs on challenge mode when I was like 16, 17 years old on a fucking wooden floor. I fell backwards, got my ass up, and still managed to complete the song with an A.
Absolute king.
My family was just like, what the fuck?
What is wrong with you?
They're like, dude, are you okay? And I was like, I got an A, of course I'm great.
Maybe a concussion, but hey.
My uncle was a doctor, it's fine. He said I was fine. Maybe I wasn't fine.
I don't think I ever recovered.
Yeah, that was an easy answer. I'm like, yeah, obviously Dance Dance Revolution. I don't want to go to an arcade with 50 different machines. Give me one disc with every DDR song ever made on it and a dance mat, and I'll be the happiest person ever.
Now, we've talked a bit, obviously, about music-related games being Twitch Sings and now DDR. Do you find that music has been playing a big role in your life?
Yeah, I think so. I like music in general, even though I still listen to the same music I listened to in 2012.
I think everyone does, to be honest.
Yeah, I used to go to a lot of local shows back when I lived in Florida, like local post-hardcore bands. Actually, one of the post-hardcore bands I used to go see is writing my villain theme song.
Ah, very nice.
So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, music is a really big thing for me. Music is how I express myself in a lot of different ways. I'm actually surprised I don't play more rhythm games,
Mm.
I'm more of a kind of person who just wants to listen to music, like, when I'm in the shower
Yeah.
or when I'm laying down, things like that. It's just kind of my peace, it's my recharge.
Mm.
So I guess it has a very big impact on at least the mental health side of my
Mm.
life, I think.
Now, speaking of mental health, you've been very vocal on sharing how you've been going and, kind of trying to be an open book and let people know, hey, it's okay to not be okay. Do you find that, being open has helped you, communicate and deal with those problems? Or do you find, hey, it's kind of still the same? It hasn't really changed much for me, but you're just trying to inspire others?
It's definitely been better. I've always been somebody who silently struggled considering I'm from a black household, I mean,
Mm.
my mother was white, but my dad was black, and living in that sort of household, it was like, well, you have a roof over your head, you have no reason to be sad.
Mm.
And there's a lot of families, like, oh, people of color often just don't really take depression and anxiety seriously.
Mm.
It's just kind of not talked about in those communities, and it's something that should be talked about a lot more than it is.
Mm.
And so I never really got to get over a lot of those issues growing up. Like, I was actually suicidal from the ages of, like, 14 until last year,
Mm.
actually. But when I moved away and my life changed and I started, finding who I was, I started being way more vocal about my mental health and helping others with theirs and things like that. And the fact that I learned how to assess my issues and talk about them is what got me help last year.
Mm.
I actually went to go see a doctor right away when I realized the severity of what I was going through and communicating it with my family and my partner. I was able to get on medication for it, and I've been in a much better place since around October of last year.
Mm.
Um, and so the fact that, I mean, it sucks that it took me, like, fucking over a decade to be okay, but I'm finally on the right track of being okay. And
Mm.
in the last 3 years, I've lost two friends to suicide, and I don't want to see, whether it's a friend, a stranger, whatever, I don't want to see anybody go through what they went through or what I almost went through.
Mm.
And so I'm just very open about it because if it can get somebody talking about what they're going through and if it could save a life, then, that's a good thing for me.
Mm.
And so that's kind of like why I'm not afraid to talk about that kind of stuff
Mm.
because I don't know, I think everybody deserves a chance to survive.
Mm. And it's not just depression, going by just what you have on your page. Obviously, I know it's still kind
Mhm.
of going through rebranding, but I know for a fact you're going to leave this panel or like there where you have links to suicide prevention,
Oh,
veteran
those
suicide
aren't
protection,
those aren't going
yeah,
anywhere. Yeah, those are staying.
domestic abuse prevention, and sexual assault
Those are
prevention.
also those can also be found on my Steam page as
Mm.
well as in my Discord itself. I will never get rid of those resources
Mm.
because they're important.
Mm.
And you never know who's gonna come across your streams looking for somebody to talk to or going through a situation at home that they don't realize anybody, is out there that knows or would understand, and they happen to see a link like, "Oh, I could click this link anonymously and nobody will ever know," and it's there. Like,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
And the reason why I wanted to bring those up is because, kind of our circle and everyone's, got their own other circle of friends and things like that. I find we all have a lot of overlap in, wanting to do things to help charities or just, people in general. Are there any other charities or kind of social projects or kind of just initiatives in general that you've been kind of throwing your voice behind as well?
Right now, no. A lot of the things that I kind of stick to the most are anything in the LGBT, Black Lives Matter, things like that. Suicide prevention is probably the most important to me, just as a survivor. And
Mm.
I'm literally coming up on an anniversary of losing a friend in the next 10 days. Uh, I actually have been talking about doing more with my partner. Um, like, we've lived here for, like, 2 years, and I don't know much about the area we live in, but I wanna look into more charities around here,
Mm.
um, for, like, when he goes on deployment because we are a one-car household, so it's kinda hard to do things while he's needing the car for work, but
Mm.
when he goes away, I wanna try and get involved in more, like, charity things, and I even wanna try and do if they have, like, those walks. I really wanna do one of those, like, charity walk events. I
Mm.
haven't done one since, like, God, since I lived in Florida, I did like the Race for the Cure. We used to constantly go on like the cancer walks and stuff, which I thought
Mm,
was like the coolest thing ever because you'd get like the medal and stuff like that, and donate. And I thought, I don't know, I want to get back into doing that stuff I used to do when I was younger.
mm,
Like my health has prevented me from being more active, but now that like a lot of my mental health problems are solved, I feel like that's a step in the right direction to get me
mm.
back on track.
Yeah, I definitely agree with, like the idea of, getting your mental health under control to the best of your ability, because it'll definitely help get your physical side under control. Because,
Absolutely.
I'm also, like you, very open about my history when it comes to mental health and all the issues that comes with it. Because I've never claimed that I have been like super crazy depressed for the longest time. Like through high school, I know I suffered with bouts of it on occasion. When I look back at it, like I didn't really understand what was going on, because you're a hormonal teenager, you don't really fucking understand anything.
Yeah, you think
Um,
it's, oh, this
yeah,
is part of puberty, like
yeah, like this
it's
is normal.
normal.
I even go back and I think, okay, like short stories I used to write as a kid were quite morbid and things like that. I'm like, maybe, due to upbringings, things like
Same.
that, maybe, possibly back then even, like, but I've never been someone who fortunately has been stuck with depression consistently until I hit about the age of 19. I think I just turned 19, it was just before I turned 19, I injured my back. And my back's been fucked ever since. And that's been the better part of a decade now.
Oh my
And
god, back pain can really, really
yeah,
fuck you over mentally.
and like mentally I would get so drained, which would then make my physical health just decline even more, because it's like, well, mentally
They
I'm not
play
strong
on
enough.
each other.
Yeah, I can't get up and get going. Which is why I really appreciate, you know you, just the fact that with like your stream titles, the fact that you always have the "You Matter" and then the suicide prevention hotline number there. Like I love that as just something you do.
Pretty sure it's
As
on my Discord profile too.
Yeah, it would
It's like
not
my
surprise me.
go-to.
It
It's
would
my
not
go-to.
surprise
It's
me.
like, "Hey guys, call this number." I've had people actually message me, "You shouldn't have your phone number in your profile." I'm like, "Bro, that's not my phone number. Call it." And then they're like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And I'm like, "Yeah, bro."
I don't think I have a 1-800 number as my phone number, but sure.
I
What's next?
try to
Five
I try
five
to always
five.
have it in the title or
Mm,
some way to get it. Like, there's even, like, commands in chat to bring it up if I don't have it in my title.
mm.
Um,
Because like one way I think we started to kind of become closer friends, like we interacted, because we were both friends with Snow, Snap, Clint, and we had a little bit of crossover, but I can't remember exactly what you had posted on Twitter, because I remember it was Twitter you posted to, and I was like, oh, because like seeing people be more open about their problems, it makes me willing to reach out. And I remember
mhm.
messaging you, and it just kind of became a thing. Even though I don't do it all that often, I tend to check in very rarely, but I still try to check in on your friends. And this is something I know you do, and I know is something you encourage, and I definitely encourage to anyone out there. If you've got friends going through problems, do not be afraid to just ask someone, "Hey, how you holding up? How's things been going?" It doesn't have to be a super in-depth conversation. That one question can make a world of difference. You
Yeah,
know.
I think you had actually reached out to me, like, right before things started to get really bad, and I started to get into that really bad place. It was, like, a few months before I got on medication.
Mm,
So you actually reached out to me when I was, like, really not okay.
mm,
And I think ever since then, you've just kind of been checking on me periodically,
mm.
which has been really sweet.
Yeah, as I said, it's one of those things, because again, I see you putting that out into the world, like, hey, let's try to be there for one another. So it's like, well,
Pay it forward.
yeah, just pay it forward. It's something that I find everyone I ever interviewed does, like everyone, even those who like, because we have obviously me, you, Snow, Snaps, Francie are all in our circle. Outlaw Man's kind of like a little bit outside that circle, and then you got E Goblin, who love him. Shout out to Gobby. He is very far outside that circle. Like he is like from my side, like other group of friends that I have, because you're around Twitch for a very long time. You get multiple groups of friends. I have like 4 or 5 different kind of friend groups that I sort of bounce between.
Yeah, and
And
there's nothing wrong with it. We just vibe differently.
yeah, but one thing that is very consistent, and I think this is a telling of something, especially if you are a small creator out there and you want to, you know, keep an eye, like you're like, how do I know if my community's a good community? Very simply, do they reach out and check in on one another? You know, because although not everyone can be expected to do it, because everyone does have their problems, everyone's, you know, living their life. You know, if in general people are there and willing to listen, that's how you know they're good people. And it's, you know, we can both probably have a million stories of very toxic individuals that have come through. As Snow discussed, a very certain individual who tried to crack the shits and pick a fight over Twitter that you went on and gave a bit of a smackdown to, which
Oh
I will
yeah,
get you to tell me
yeah.
that story.
There was a woman using like slurs against Snow, like calling her like slut and other things.
Mm,
Like she's basically slut shaming Snow because of the camera angle,
mm,
which I can kind of show you with my VTuber model. It was kind of like no, that's not the right button. It was Snow kind of had her camera like this because the way she had it positioned, it had to be higher up.
yeah,
And she wasn't even wearing like anything that was super
low cut.
like low or anything like that. Because that's Snow. She's respectful. She's got a family. Like she cares about how she portrays herself to other people. Like,
Mm,
come on, she's like the most wholesome people we all fucking know. Like,
yeah,
come on. And so I fully did research on slut shaming and how women should like be there for each other, and I went off
mm,
on this person. And I was just kind of like, dude, don't fucking slut shame if you don't know the definition. Is essentially what I
yeah,
went off on. And it was just like, like let women wear what they want, okay?
mm,
Let men, women, and everything in between, let them wear what they fucking want, okay?
mm,
Leave underage girls alone if they're wearing spaghetti straps or a skirt that's slightly above the knee. Stop being a predator. Shut the fuck up and let people live their lives.
mm.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, the way I've always said it, you know, I honestly do not give a shit what someone does as long as it doesn't hurt another person. You know,
Right. If you're comfortable and you're happy and you're not hurting anybody or yourself, then do you, boo.
yeah,
Do you.
and like you know, as I've said, you know, I am a straight white man. Even though my light makes me look like I'm kind of tan at the moment, I have not left this room. I have not been outside for more than 30 seconds. In the past like 4 days because I've like basically been sleeping just to be up all night to do these interviews. So pretty much, you know, like I've
You
like,
should have
you
told
know,
me. I could have gotten up in your time zone, you silly goose.
actually you are up in my time zone.
Oh,
It's
hell yeah.
it's currently about to hit 1 p.m. in which I have another missed call from work. I'm not going in. I told them already.
You're busy. You're busy.
I get called because like so my department, right, is kind of like you'd consider it the bottom, right, of where I work, right, because I work at a supermarket, but I'm in part
Gross.
of like basically one of the biggest chains, but I do the cleaning and push the trolleys, right. So you're like, okay, you're at the bottom, you know, in terms of a
Yuck.
hierarchy, right. But I am the only person, it seems. I can't speak for everyone. I know some of the managers, because I'm not a manager, but I get treated with the respect of them because I work as hard as they do. Sometimes, not most of the time of late, because I'm like, I'm looking after myself for now, so tough shit. But I am the only person I know that will work across the entire city I live in. And to put that in perspective, that could be anywhere of like a 75-kilometer radius that I drive between. And I'll start one store, do that for 2-3 hours, drive to another store, do that for 2-3 hours, go to another store for 2-3 hours. And like, I'm the only person that's willing to do that. So they're like, oh, you want more hours? You want more hours? I'm like, look, I like money and I get paid very well, especially for my job. I get paid nearly $30 an hour if I'm working a weekday. And if I'm working Sundays, I'm getting paid nearly $40 an hour. Like, it's really, really good money. But I'm like, no, I don't want to work that much. Like, I'm an old man now. You know,
Definitely get that.
I'm like, I want to retire at this point, go live in the mountains, and not have to deal with people in general.
Yo, same.
So now we've mentioned earlier that you are going through the whole rebranding thing. So this, I'm going to basically shut up for a little bit and let you kind of go through a lot of stuff because there's going to be a bit of a loaded question. Um, and
God.
I hope this makes sense because I don't like. I'm kind of making this up as I go, but
Oh God. I'm scared.
don't be scared. It's okay. Essentially, what made you create the character you have, and like what was your inspirations for it, and kind of where you started to where it is now, to then what inspired the rebrand and what are the plans with the rebrand. It's kind of like 5 questions
Uh,
there, but
okay. Well, the initial start of the character was honestly just based on me. I had gotten a photo I took a photo of myself. I gave it to an artist to draw with horns.
Mm.
The horns are a tribute to Albedo, who is a character in the Overlord series. Um, bless you, question mark, exclamation point. And so I kind of was like, can you make me, but like with her horns? And that's how it started. And it was just a picture that I had. It was even before I was even thinking of going VTuber. It was just like art of my face, basically.
Mm.
Um, and from there, I did want to become a VTuber. I started using that picture initially. Um, I can, if you want me to send it to you, I can.
Feel
Um,
free. I will hopefully remember to put it
I
up.
actually have a tweet that if let me find it. I have a tweet that actually has like the original inspiration for like my face, like like how it all kind of started and where it became
Hmm.
with my because this is my second technically design. Quote unquote. It's just an outfit change basically and longer hair, but um, I found an artist and the artist was like, I could turn this into a VTuber, but you have to understand that it's going to be a little more anime than what you originally started with. And I was like, I don't care. Just draw me, boy.
I'm weird as
So
fuck.
so that's how that started. And then, I started out with a lower poly model and an outfit that wasn't too great. And then eventually I decided to change her look a little bit, and that's how we kind of upgraded to this. And then I did a poll on Twitter a while back about spicing things up with my brand, and I asked people like, "Hey, do you guys want me to continue the way I am?" I was like, "Or should we like go full on and actually have a debut and have a total like a different arc?" And a lot of people voted for the whole villain thing because like I said, people think it's funny when I'm mean to them, so they think it's cute. I don't know. And so the people spoke and I was like, well, fuck me, I guess I'm a villain now. So the people chose my fate. And so my lore was already loosely based on Doctor Who stuff because I'm a really big Whovian and things like that. And so I was like, well, I could be literally some sort of AU Doctor Who villain of my own making. And I already have alerts that are like Dalek sounds. So
Mm.
I'm like, I could play it off that and just kind of go from there. So that's kind of why my thing is like, oh, destroyer of timelines and worlds and very spacey. Like, it's not changing too much except for the fact that ass gonna be fat and maybe a little evil. Fat ass and evil vibes. That's all we need.
I just want that
There's
as a
still a lot.
tattoo, like just right across the chest. Fat ass and evil vibes.
I'll consider it. But yeah, there's a lot that I still don't know. Like I just started rebranding, and I basically only just started so that I could secure all the name changes.
Mm.
I still have a lot to finalize with my lore. So if you catch up with me in 6 months, I'll probably have a lot more to say on the subject. But the art is in the process. It's completely fucking different than anything that I already have, which I'm really excited about. It's gonna be sexier,
Mm.
spacier, all the nine. I'm pretty excited about it. It'd be spicy.
Was
Spicy
spicy.
villain, mommy.
So,
Boys will say step on me, mommy, and I will say yes.
but only if you pay $5.
Right.
Gotta pay the
Five
bills.
dollars a month, and I will step on you.
Just the one time, because these are good shoes. I'm not wasting
Right.
these on you.
Put spikes on the shoe so you can't ask again because you're
Maybe up the price
yes.
just a little bit, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of like sad boys who are like, shit, that's a bargain. $5 and I get to go out with a smile? Damn.
But mommy. Yeah, but the cheaper, the more the boys. My milkshakes will bring all the boys to the yard. Come on.
I simultaneously love and detest that song so much.
I mean, same.
It's like,
but I could just do this and be like, my milkshake brings all the boys.
See, I can do that too, but like I'm wearing a black shirt, so it won't show up. The best thing I can do is the whole titty pop thing, because I used to be like hardcore into the gym for a while there, and I was like, yeah, bench press, fuck everything else, which now translates to my boss is like half terrified of me. Whoa, costume change halfway through. Look at the skills. See, I could try to do something that quick, but then it's just going to be like, you're violating terms of services, so please put your clothes back on. And I'll be like,
nah, we out here with the Doctor Who.
Doctor Who?
Doctor Whom?
Whomst? Whomst do I see in my bed? But yeah, like I now I just pick up trolleys with one hand, and it scares the shit out of my boss, because like love him to death, but I am like twice his size. He's like struggling to push trolleys. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna push 20 at a time, even though we're only allowed to do 10. So work safe. If you heard that, bite me.
It never happened.
Occupational health and safety. Who? Go fuck yourselves. I literally break every rule at work all the time. The fact I haven't been fired is beyond me.
OSHA isn't real. It can't hurt you.
No, they can't do shit. I'm already damaged goods, so that's what I tell them. I'm like, honestly, my doctor as a joke went to me, right? Even though like he was joking, he's like, please don't actually do it. He's like, you've got two options for your back. Either you can, manage it and look after it and do the right things, or you can fuck it up even more, and then maybe we can do surgery to fix it.
Oof.
I'm like, option 2 does sound like fun.
So, get up on our dime. We'll take care of it.
I don't live in America. I can afford to get surgery. So.
Damn. Shots fired.
Subtle flex. It's not really subtle.
I'm over here. I'm a military spouse. I don't have to worry about anything. Everything's taken care of because I'm married to a sailor.
Life made easy. Oh yeah.
Right.
Look, to be fair,
American,
you have to go through
no problem. Just marry someone in the military.
If not, join the military. You may die, but hey, it's either that or pay for everything.
Right. You want free house, no bills, free healthcare. You just have to sign your life away for the next 6 to 10 years. Don't worry about it.
And then after that, if you get injured, we're going to throw you to the curb and make you pay for everything again, because we suck.
No, they don't do that if you've been in for so many years. You can get there's like the Veterans Association and shit like that will take care of you depending on how you got injured, and it's really not. It's relatively cushy if you're in the military, even though you get treated like shit.
Yeah. It's cushy, but you get treated like shit.
It comes and goes.
Yeah, it has its moments. It's like welfare system here. Like our welfare system, especially compared to America's, is astronomically better, but it's so far below the poverty line. It's just fucking disgusting how bad it is. Because like the poverty line's like, oh, you need to get like another, I think it's $150 a week to be at it. And since rent and house prices have gone up so much, like it's almost at the point where it's had to basically go up $200 to $300 a week from what it is. So people are like nearly $600 below the poverty line a fortnight trying to pay bills and rent. I'm like, if I didn't work, I'd be fucked. Because it'd be like I'd be trying to pay my rent, which is like $680 a fortnight, and then my welfare payment maxes out at like $806, and that's with, paying for medications and like other like little things they give you. So it's like, oh, you get like $120 to pay your groceries, your electricity, your water, your gas. Then you've also got to pay for travel, because you have to apply for X amount of jobs every month to keep your welfare, and then you got to do all this other shit that costs money, and then you got to have internet because you need to be able to apply for the jobs as well. And they're all online now, so it's like, well, now I got to pay for internet, which means I have to have a phone, which means I now have to pay for a phone as well, which is even more money. It's like
Yeah,
you're
it's a
lucky if you
lot.
got $10 to pay for food for a fortnight. It's absolutely fucked.
Yeah. When
Um,
I was like, when I was working a lot, I didn't have like insurance because I was like I didn't make enough to have insurance,
mm,
even though I was working like 80 hours a week. So it was like, well, I need to go see a doctor because I'm being overworked, but I still can't go see a doctor because it's not covered.
yeah.
And basically all of my money went to rent and insulin because my insulin was like more than my rent was a
Mm.
month. Like almost like it was like between 1,000 and 1,500 depending on if I were to skip doses. Like
The
which,
fact
you
that you
know,
had to
obviously
skip
that's
doses is fucked.
exactly.
like, like if you said
And
that
I
to
like
someone here, we'd be like, what? Like,
yeah, and like so for a while there I had to stop using my prescription stuff and I went to like Walmart to get the $25 vials, which it's great that they have something that's $25 because that's affordable, but it wasn't the same as what I was using. And so there's a lot of differences when you change prescriptions, especially without your doctor's recommendation.
mm,
And so like I was sick more often on the different insulin because it worked differently, you know, it wasn't
mm,
the same exact kind. Now I don't pay a dime for my insulin, which is fucking fantastic
mm,
because, you know, that's a lot of goddamn money.
yeah.
Like
Like,
it's like they're just like telling diabetics to go die. Like what
yeah.
the fuck?
Our medication, if you are required to have it, like you have a condition, whether it be injury or, diabetes, whatever, if it's classified as a necessity medication, is capped at like $6.80 per
It's
whatever
fucking
it is.
crazy.
Like that's as much as it will cost. If you need something that, like, say, something to help manage
Oh,
hormones, for example, is one that I know for sure that they don't technically have as a, like, look, yeah, it would help you, but it's not
like
necessary.
HRT
Yeah,
choice rather than yeah.
yeah, they'll go, look, it's not necessary technically. You'll have to pay out of pocket, but even then, it's heavily subsidized still. I think the most I've seen anything cost is like $130, and that's like, and I used to work at a
Yeah.
pharmacy.
Isn't it like you could like break a limb in another country and it maybe costs you a couple $100, but you do it in America and you pay like a couple fucking thousand?
Yeah, it's like, my mum had to get both shoulders reconstructed, and I think it cost us $2,000 all up to like do everything involved with it, which included rehab, the hospital stay, medication, food, everything.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I took an ambulance ride and that cost me $1,000.
Okay, our ambulances, I will say, are the same. Ours, like my sister,
Okay.
she got thrown off a horse. We still laugh about it to this day. Went face first into a log. She
Oh,
nearly died, but
oh
she
no.
survived.
Why
So
are
that's
you
why
a
it's
piece
funny.
of shit?
That's why it's funny, because she survived. If she didn't, it'd be terribly tragic, and I'd probably laugh at her still. Be like, "Haha, you fell off a horse, dickhead." But she had to take a hospital, and I think it cost 4.5 to 5 grand to get done. But the problem is with how widespread Australia is, because things aren't very centralized here,
Well,
unless you
yeah,
live in the
your
city.
Australia is
Yeah.
huge.
A lot of hospital trips, or like taking an ambulance, is like usually quite a far distance. It's not always that close.
Yeah, the hospital was down the street from the grocery store I was at. So, like, come on.
I'd just be like, I'll walk. But both your legs are broken. Yeah, I'll walk.
Honest, I should have had one of the girls that I was working with take me instead because, like, if I had known they were gonna charge me $1,000 fucking, like, I
Mm,
would have just been like, I'll be fine, I'll survive.
yeah,
But I was having trouble breathing and I had heart issues, and so like it would not have been a good idea either
yeah,
way. So it was probably for the best I took an ambulance.
yeah.
Fuck, I still owe that money because I refused to pay it.
I don't blame you. Like we have ambulance cover here, and I think it's like $30 a year for an entire family, and it covers you countrywide. It's like
It's really nice.
stupidly cheap, because like how often are you realistically going to need an ambulance? You know, maybe
Right.
once in your
I
lifetime.
mean, mine's it's covered for me now, but like, yeah, back then it was just like, oh, this is insane.
I just, it's either I can't afford to pay everything or I die. That's all there is to it.
Right. I'm very fortunate to have like the healthcare that I have now because otherwise, like, I don't know what I would do. I've had to call the ambulance twice since I've like lived here just because I wasn't sure if I was having an asthma attack, a panic attack, diabetic crisis. My heart was just giving out because I have a heart condition. And so like
Mm,
I'll call them and they'll be like, well, we're gonna run all the tests. And I'm like, if this was any other healthcare system, or like, if I didn't have this TRICARE shit, I'm like, I'd be paying thousands of dollars
mm.
just for them to be like, drink some water, bitch, and calm down.
So it's better than our medical advice. Most doctors go, here, take a Panadol, like paracetamol, um, drink some water, and exercise your fat fuck, and you'll be fine. And we're all like, look, we know it would help, but that's not what we want. Give us the drugs,
Yeah.
please. Um, now, obviously, you are very centralized on Twitch and very active on your Discord. Have you got any other kind of platforms that you are looking to branch out to in future, like YouTube, or are you kind of content sticking to Twitch itself?
Went with Twitch as long as they don't
Die.
screw us over.
More.
Because I know there were talks about them taking bigger cuts away from content creators, including partners, and with how they already treat people on the platform, like that's kind of like, ugh, you know.
Mm,
As long as Twitch remains relatively fair and they get their shit together as far as how they treat women and racial issues, I'd be content with staying.
mm,
If I were to go anywhere else, it'd probably be YouTube. I don't think I'd want to go Facebook gaming or anything like that.
mm.
Um, I avoid TikTok at all costs because TikTok scares me.
I'm too old for TikTok mentally. Everyone keeps telling me
Well,
to
like,
get it. I'm like,
it's
oop, did we die?
me to say no, thank you.
um,
Nope.
but so like as you said, Twitch hasn't exactly had a great history on dealing with these issues,
Yeah.
and we mentioned like a couple things we wouldn't mind seeing, like just permanently banning certain words out the gate. Like there's no need
Right.
for them to be there. Is there anything else you'd really like to see them bring in terms of just for smaller content creators such as yourself and like for the likes of your friends, other than bringing back Twitch Sings, which they should?
They should. It'd be cool to have just more emotes, more options. I mean, affiliates, sure, we're not making nearly as much money or bringing in as many views as a partner would, but we're still doing our best. And
Mm,
sometimes it just feels like if we're not, if we don't even cross that line to partner, then they don't care. Like we're not good enough.
mm,
And I don't know, I feel like having more options to give, like more rewards for our communities will
mm,
build on the community and will build the revenue that we make for Twitch.
mm.
Like, and because obviously that's all they're fucking about is the revenue.
Yeah.
So like give us the opportunity to increase that revenue. Like give us some of more options that you would give a partner.
Mm,
Like, I don't know, I just feel like affiliates have to work twice as hard for half the fucking product.
mm. I definitely want to see Twitch go kind of the way it used to be, where it was very much creator driven, not business driven.
Yeah.
Because like as I said, I've been on Twitch for like the better part of 9 years at this point, and I've seen it go through all its ups and a lot of downs. And the only thing they've done in I think the last 6 months that I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool, was something they just announced like a few days ago. And I haven't looked into it fully, so I don't know the full details of it. But my understanding is they're changing the revenue split on advertising for partners and people who are affiliate instead of being a
Yeah, we're
fifty
getting a
fifty
little
split.
over half, I believe.
Yeah, it's a 5% increase. And it's not a ton, but in saying that, look, at least it's like, okay, it's a step in the right direction. I think they'll start to see they might end up saying, hey, we're actually going to start making more money because people are like, okay, well, now it's actually worth us running the ads because we don't want the money to go to, at the end of the day, to Amazon because they make way too much money as it is. So it's like, well, if we let the money, like, to me, subs, I know obviously having as many servers as they do, and that's going to have an astronomical amount of upkeep, but that's what the advertisements should be. It's like, well, either let, the creators can keep the sub money, maybe with like a 10% cut towards Twitch, because they'd still get a shitload of money, and like maybe keep all the advertising money, or come up with much better splits, like 60 to 75%, both like for both subs and ads towards the creator, in order to allow the creator to make
we're
it
the
more
ones
viable.
fucking doing the shit. Give us more money.
Like, it's one of those things. Like, I was affiliate when
You're
it started.
doing the work. You're just providing the platform.
And I got rid of it because it's just like it felt pointless. It had no use for me as a creator, and I see a lot of friends
ads.
who do it, and it's just like, what's the point?
Ads are dumb.
They are. Especially once they changed Twitch Prime to no longer, like, to still get ads. That was like the thing that I was like, I really fucking hate this, because I'm like, that's
like Prime and Turbo used to be amazing, and then they basically took it away, and it's like, what am I paying for again?
Yeah. My favorite hack though, right? So if I want Amazon Prime here in Australia, right, it's $7. A Twitch sub costs $9 Australian, and I get the free sub with Australian.
Understandable.
So I'm like, so I come out $2 ahead every month. I'm like, suck shit. So that like 50-50 revenue split, they lose out 50 cents overall. So I'm like, look, it's one way to stick it to the man. Now, kind of last kind of thing I wanted to touch on as well, when it comes to content, is art in general. So you're a very creative individual and have don't bullshit me. You can say you're not, but the fact that you've come up with this character and you're working on a whole bunch of things.
I mean, I'm not the one designing them.
Yeah, but you're the one, like, just because you're not designing it doesn't mean you're not creative, right? Like, you've got to come up with the backstory. At the end of the day, that's you have to put the, you've got to be the character. When it comes to art and stuff like that, you have, as you said, you've supported a lot of artists, and essentially, how would I put it? Not being a dick. You haven't been like, oh, I'll pay you in exposure.
No, I always pay my artists. Yes,
you're a good person, a decent human being.
Very fortunate that some of the artists that I know are actually like close personal friends, and I've had them try and say, "Oh, you don't have to pay. We're friends," and I'm just like, "Bitch, let me give you money.
Take it."
Like, one of my very close friends, she is working on some stuff for me, and she always tries to tell me not to pay her, and so joke's on her. I have her address, and I'm just gonna send her a bunch of my merch.
Fair trade. But how have you found, like, working with artists has been for you as a creator? Like, obviously, as you said, some of them are your friends, and obviously you're going to get along with them, but do you find that, if you're, especially going through the rebranding, do you feel that things are more stressful because it's like, okay, I'm waiting on this person to do said thing that might not meet my vision, or are you happy to kind of leave it in their hands and sort of let it just be what it is?
I mean, the people that like I generally find for artwork usually are very open and communicative, and they let you revise everything as often as you need. So I never really have to worry. I usually build a literal Google document of like the things I want, and like I'll grab like references, like, hey, I want something similar to this, and then I'll list like the changes, because obviously I don't want to copy something that I've ever found. Like, but like sometimes I have a vision in my head and I don't know how to explain it without finding something like, hey, like, you see the top of this shirt, I like that shape, but I don't want that shirt, I want that shape. Like, like stuff like that. And like then I'll pick apart the design, and I've even like photoshopped like 9 things together to make one thing, just to like I want it to kind of be like in this genre. Like, does that make sense? And usually, like, I've never had somebody not like understand like what I was going for. Like,
And this is why I said
I just
you
had
to
really good
me you
experience.
are a somewhat creative person because like yeah like I got a good friend of mine Bat who I will be actually interviewing at some point hopefully who did my artwork for my channel. um she was very much the same. It was like, oh, I'm not taking, you don't have to pay me for it, you know, like it's, you know, just doing a thing for a friend because we've known each other for a little while. Like, no, you're taking what I'm sending you. And she's like, oh, fine, you know, $10. So I sent her like 30. I'm like, no. Like,
I
no.
paid you the 10. I just also give you a tip. Deal with it. Like,
Yeah. Americans tip. We don't do that here, but you know, Americans tip.
shame. I
Oh.
mean, we have to fucking tip. We obviously don't pay people a living wage here. Fucking
Yeah.
shots fired at America.
Sucks shit. But you know, the reason why I wanted to get you to talk about that specifically is for anyone out there who is, you know, going to either get into the VTuber space or get panels or, you know, icons, whether it be emotes even, done. One, pay your fucking artist. Don't just do exposure.
Pay your fucking artist.
Do it, because they have bills.
And if they tell you not to pay them anyway.
Yeah, don't listen to them. All artists never think they're good enough and not worth it, so look, it's a hive mind thing. Just pay them the money. They'll always love you if you pay them the money. Trust me. But not just that, but also the fact, you know, you went in with a very clear idea of what you kind of have in mind, and that really helps streamline the process when it comes to, you know, getting what you want. So, for example, when I got mine done, like my banners, which are based off a Telecaster guitar, which is based off my favorite guitar that I own, I like was sent them. I'm like, okay, well, the shape's great. I like the line art that's on them, but I want something a little more to it. Can you have something kind of wrap around them, like different kind of almost like magic effects, like think of it like an RPG. So I've got like lightning, I got water, I got kind of like a fire sort of one as well. And then I did do a Photoshop where they were all together for me, you know, to kind of create that style. And I've actually just recently commissioned her to do a picture of my cat because like, I'm like, I need to have a picture of my cat, naturally, because priorities in life and all that.
I mean, I literally have a fucking emote of my kitten. I have the tiny sun emote somewhere around here. Where is it? Tiny sun. Yeah, tiny sun. Teeny tiny baby son.
All about the babies. So, last question I wanted to ask, and this is my all-time favorite question to ask. You're allowed to get as spicy as you want.
Ooh.
What is your most controversial gaming opinion?
Hope I have one. Wait, let me think. I don't know if I have a controversial gaming opinion.
It's a tough thing to think of.
I don't think I have one.
So, some examples. We had. I've completely forgot what Snows was. I feel awful. I literally did that interview yesterday and I forgot. But I remember France had Smash Bros. Is not a fighting game. It'll never be a fighting game. I've had E-Goblin say,
You know what?
Pokemon is bad. It's not a good series anymore.
Smash Bros just isn't fun.
Ooh,
I guess that counts.
That is pretty spicy.
Like, there's too much happening on the screen. Whether you're playing it on a big screen or a little screen, it's like it's not even like that. It's fast paced. It's just too many things going on at fucking once, and like my ADHD brain is like, no, and it's just like these aren't even the characters I want to choose. Give me some weird ass fucking characters. Like, give me some better fucking platforms. Like, take some advice from Naruto games, like the fucking Ultimate Ninja games. Like, fuck off.
See, that's something
Yeah, as
we'll...
soon as you said Smash, I had like this inner rage. See, like I don't think about Smash until somebody says it, and then I'm like, fuck that game. What's your controversial opinion? Fuck Smash. Now we know.
Oh,
damn, it's so bad to me that I didn't even consider it until you said it. That's hilarious.
There's always a way to get a controversial opinion out of someone. There's always one. Now, we didn't get into talking about anime and stuff like that, but as you said, I'd love to do a follow-up once things are kind of a little more down the line with the rebranding. And I'd love to talk about anime then, especially. But we are going to wrap it up there because we're hitting the 2-hour mark, and I am...
I need to go have dinner.
Yeah, I think it's about time that people eat food, and I am ready to kind of almost take a nap, to be honest. Because again, I had an energy drink today, and all my brain wants to do is sleep when I have them. Caffeine just puts me to sleep. It's the weirdest thing.
So if you have ADHD or any other sort of like hyperactive disorder, caffeine can actually make you tired. It'll do the opposite.
It would not surprise me. I mean, I've never been diagnosed, but I wouldn't put it beyond me, to be honest. Especially with a lot of my tendencies to hyper-focus on things.
There are online quizzes that like you can take that'll kind of like that'll kind of put you in the right direction if it, like you think you might be ADHD. I had a friend take it and he was like, so I took the quiz and then I talked about it with my doctor. You were right. And I was like, ha 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 ha. Of course I'm right. I have it. It takes one to know one.
I know you are, but what am I?
Obviously I'm ADHD, bro. Damn.
Dummy thick.
Well, homies.
So, before we go, though, where can people find you one more time?
On Twitter and Twitch. On Twitch, it's KawaiiEvil_VT, and on Twitter, it's KawaiiEvilVT.
I will have links to those down below. So everyone out there, please stay safe, stay dummy thick, and treat your homies with some love. Peace.
Hell yeah. Badasses and villain vibes, whatever the fuck we said earlier. Stay ho5, homies.